Welcome to it then, another episode of Off the Leash, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with Premier Greyhound Racing. All of your needs in ground racing right here on Off the Leash. Another massive week of big race action and then another week of good company here on the show. Tony Bullen, open race correspondent from the Racing Post, joins us. Tony, how's your form?
Yeah, a bit up and down, to be true to you, but the racing, again, it's just superb action, thick and fast, week in, week out, and let it continue.
Yes, we will look back and look forward. Last week, of course, we had the £20,000 Premier Ground Racing Puppy Derby Final at Monmore, the big one, formerly known as the Midlands Puppy Derby. So we'll look back at that, get your thoughts, Tony, and then we'll look ahead. The biggest race of the year at Romford. It might not be the most lucrative, but the Golden Sprint is the big one, and we've got two semi-finals of the Arc Kent Plate as well to get stuck into. So, yeah, it is just a constant conveyor belt of big races, but here we are, right in the thick of it. We love it, and we're going to get stuck in. Do get involved. Drop a comment, a like, subscribe to the Racing Post YouTube channel. If you are watching us on Facebook as well, get involved. Give us your thoughts, what you made of the Monmore Puppy Derby Final, who you fancy for the Golden Sprint, who you fancy for the Kent Plate. We've got the Gym Crack coming up, the Queen Mother Memorial coming up at Sheffield. It is just never ending. So, yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let's get straight to it then. Let's look back before we look forward. And listen, myself, Tony, I thought going into this Monmore Puppy Derby, I thought the favourite was well drawn. The favourite had set the standard in the heats in the semi-final and was going to be very, very hard to beat. But Headford Dane in trap 2 here beat Racket Hall Brute. Arthur Job back in 3, 2-1-3, the finishing order. And the winner remains unbeaten and has done it on merit.
Yeah, we said in the previous weeks, though, this Headford Dane, he hadn't done anything flashy on the clock, but he had showed the right attitude, and you always felt that he could shave quite a few lengths off his overall clockings, and he did it when it mattered most. I mean, Kennelmate Ballymac Cody got a good start, but something was going to have to give. You got 5 and 6 pacing up really well, little bit of trouble. Two's found himself in front off the second bend, but what a run Racket Hall Brute got into the race once again, and you felt that the pace that he had shown in the second half might be the writing on the wall, but all credit to Headford Dane. He was still going strong to the pickup, and I want to give credit to Free. This Arthur Job, I think Patrick Godfrey going to have a bit of fun with this dog. I like the way he went to the drop as well, Dave.
Yeah, it looks very, very strong, doesn't he? He ran well to finish the 2-1-3, the winning order there, 28.09, the winning time. We spent all of last year, I reckon if we recorded 40 shows last year, I reckon in at least 30 of them, I said JR Racing Syndicate, Maxine Locke building a nice team of dogs, and they are now converting that into big race successes. Another one here, Headford Dane, who is going to be off to Sheffield for the Gym Crack.
Yeah, I mean, Sheffield's a little bit of a different track. It's on the turn. It's like a circle, so you do need to sort of get yourself in a handy position because you can sit and suffer at Sheffield. And I mean, he could do with just polishing up his trapping a little bit, but there's no doubt that the dog can run.
And frighteningly, they've got the Litter brother, who they have revealed the name of as well, Headford Asher, I think it is, who they believe, well, at least in schooling and trials, was even quicker. So there you go. Daunting for rivals, should we say. A word on Racket Hall Brute, was giving chase, a good winner, but this is a dog that's going to have a big future as well.
Yeah, I think he'll come into his element. He'd be like a hove dog, a galloping type of track, a stiff 4 bends. But as I say, he turned in a handy position, but had no answers to the winner.
Yeah, very good. Well done to all involved there. Right, let's look forward now then. Saturday night, 24 became 12 last week. Their first round heats, 4 of them, of the Arena Racing Company Kent Plate, £12,500 up for grabs. And we are now going to have a look at the semi-finals. Now, semi-final number 1 is the 8:36 on Saturday night at Central Park. Gunslinger in red, 12-1. Prices, again, hats off to Labrooks and Corals. First out the traps of the prices as ever. 12-1, the red. Scooby the Boss, 12-1. Droopy's Pivotal Derby semi-finalist, 9-2. Hope's Kitty, a pony, 25-1. King Jackson, 4s. And March on Freddie, who was absolutely sensational in the first round at 4-7. And we are going to have a look at that as well. Now, this was a remarkable run, Tony. I fancied King Jackson to get first run. And at the second bend, I thought, wait in here. King Jackson, Puppy Derby finalist. He was back to winning ways in a trial stake previous week. He's away. He's gone. He's escaped. No. March on Freddie. Track 5, 28.91, 5.4 and 3 droop his display. Your other qualifier. Rode a bump at the turn 5, and he is a monster.
Yeah, he certainly is. When he's given racing room, as I say, he rode that bump, but when he gets into a rhythm, I mean, he destroyed the opposition in the Puppy Classic at Nottingham. Connections took him to the Irish Derby. He did them proud, reaching the semi-finals, and this dog can run for sure. And to do what he did in the time as well, that was the fact that the time was there. It wasn't like it was a troublesome race and the time wasn't there. He set his sights on King Jackson, who's no mark. He's made a decent start to his career, but he's a real powerful striding dog when he's got daylight. March on Freddie, and showed that here.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to the lads that own him for having a go at Shelbourne Park. It wouldn't have been my sort of idea. I'd have been eyeing up all the big competitions this year in the UK. But he's here. He's ready to rumble. He's shown, he retains all of that ability. He's trained on, which sometimes they don't. And yeah, with a clear run, he's about as good as anything in the UK right now. In this semi-final, he's 4-7. Listen, I made the case last week that he might get tangled up, and I thought King Jackson could get away. He proved last week that can happen and he can still win. So, maybe a Droopy's Pivotal at 9-2 could be a bit of value against him. I can't be against him. He's got a good draw here. King Jackson, I think, will step inside as well. What about yourself? Is it just one for the favourite backers here?
Yeah, I think again, if he doesn't meet trouble, he's going to win. And he can even show that he can even overcome a bit of bother as well. So, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't need to fix it with me.
Indeed. Right, so let's move on to second semi-final then, and we are going to see another skinny one as well here. 8.54 up on the inside, Proper Heiress, 4-6. Ladbrokes Winter Derby and the Core Olympic champion. Queen Shakira is back to winning ways 10s, so 4-6 10s. Tabletop is 7-2. The Ground Racing UK Blue Ribbon winner. Blue Jig Baron 8-1. Droopy's Display, the Kent Derby winner over course and distance, and Brigadier Brindle, another one for Dave Mullins in the stripes. Now, before we jump into Proper Heiress, and we'll see the fastest heat winner from last week, which was the Winter Derby and Olympic champion, Table Toppers. Now, Table Toppers out of 3, I didn't think would be too much of an issue last week. Tony, was you a bit surprised how much he dived inside?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't see the trial. He had a prep trial around there. I don't know how much he dived inside there, but he was bang on the rails in the prep trial, so maybe he just wanted to dive inside, having had that solo trial. But yeah, I mean, his kennel mate, he's just a proper dog. I mean, he looked the part in the Olympic at Hove last year, and then what he done at Monmore in the Winter Derby was just absolutely astonishing. I mean, bang out the boxes. The dog stays. He's got everything. He ticks a lot of boxes. He's got everything that you'd want in a dog. And yeah, I just think that he's very difficult to oppose Proper Heiress in his current mood, Dave.
Yeah, I suppose if you want to be picky, and Achilles heel could be his dependency on the inside. But if he comes away like he did in that Winter Derby final, and I do think with more racing and more experience, he's actually learned not to dive inside like he did at the start of his career. But he had one in the first round. He's got one in the semi-final. Let's look at how we took apart the field here. Now, Blue Jig Baron, I thought showed up really well in the black jacket. Droopy's Pivotal was in 3, finishing 3rd. A Derby semi-finalist, but this dog raced into the lead. He was the fastest heat winner, and that was that job done. And he was never going to be caught, was he, once out in front? You've said it yourself. He starts, he stays.
Yeah, that's the thing with him. If he can just come away half decent and turn no worse than 2nd or 3rd off the second bend, you've got a race on your hands, whoever he's in with, because he puts the times up. He's just a nice dog. When you watch him in full flight, he really stretches. He really opens up. And, I mean, Blue Jig Baron, he's no mug. I mean, he's got a decent strike rate to his name for Dave Lee. So, again, the fact that he's done 28.54 tells you the quality of the dog.
Yeah, very good. Track graded 30 fast, I think. So 28.84 the calculated time, but fastest on the board there. Again, another skinny one. Can we be against him on the inside here? I think this just looks like a rock-solid favourite semi-final double here, because Proper Heiress has got his box. Table Toppers and Queen Shakira could definitely come together out the boxes as well. And we might see a rerun of Blue Jig Baron and Proper Heiress to the second bend.
Yeah, I agree. I just think inside draw, I think he turns no worse than second or in front off the second bend, Dave, and it'd be a case of what he puts up on the clock.
Indeed. That is on Saturday night. Of course, you'll be able to watch that on the Premier Greyhound Racing stream, Behind the Red Button on Sky Sports Racing, and of course on the PGR website and on all of the bookmakers' websites as well, with the Bet to View functionality. Right, let's get to Romford then. Friday night. There is £10,000 up for grabs. I mentioned at the top of the show, it might not be the most lucrative race at Romford, but it's definitely the most prestigious. It's definitely the one that they all want to win. You know, Derby champions have gone on from winning this. Blonde Snapper won it and then won the Derby. So it can be done. It's not often the same kind of dog, particularly with the Derby now at Toaster. But it is a prestigious event nonetheless. It's the big one at Romford. We're going to have a look back at the semi-finals. Now, first up, it was Fire and Ice, 23.95, the Puppy Cup winner, lowering the colours of Union Rebel for Kevin Hutton, who, of course, had set the standard in the first round. They were in 4 and 5 here. Now, I was mad keen on Union Rebel, and I thought we were in business going into the turn, but they came together, Tony.
Yeah, and it was a case of who had the inside line on it when they did come together. And I mean, Fire and Ice couldn't lay a glove on Union Rebel in the first round, but fine margins at Romford, Dave. You know, any given Friday, it's a game changer. And the Puppy Cup winner got first run, and that was that really. He's a sub 24 second dog when he gets off the front, and Union Rebel's clearly a different proposition when he outright leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, he's a class act. Finest in the Steel City Cup, run about the Produce Stakes. But Fire and Ice, been there, done it. Obviously, that was with Matt Dartnell in the Puppy Cup, but Nathan Hunt getting a tune out of him, 23.95. And Connections be absolutely delighted with the make-up and the draw in the final. But we will get to that, and I like that. Any given Friday at Romford. That should be the strap line just across Romford everywhere, because it is all about Friday nights. That's when the open race action is. Semi-final number 2. How about this then? 23.70. Mad About Peck. He's got a great record over course and distance. Whitewood Lenny doing it for the locals in the stripes here. 5 and 6 semi-final number 2. 23.70.
Yeah, I mean, this dog, he's not really a lip pinger either, Dave. It's his pace within 3 or 4 strides. His paws hit the sand, and he really shifts to the turn. And again, another dog that just posts fast times when he gets out in front. He's going to have to bring his A game once again. Again, we touched on this. You can throw a blanket on these to the turn, but all credit to Tom Hilbron. Long journey down, but a short journey home for Mad About Peck when he traps like that.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I'm sure Tom won't mind me saying this, but it's been a bit of a while since he won a Cat 1. He's been knocking on the door. He was in 1 million Cat 1 finals in 2024. And, you know, they clock up the miles. There's slight change this year. I think they're going for quality over quantity and aiming at the big competitions. But when he travels to win, not to make up the numbers.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And this type of dog, I mean, he probably could do with a little bit of a longer run at the turn, but he's made the bends in front in the first round of the semis, and a repeat performance could be seeing crowned champion on Friday.
Yeah, listen, he's a big player. We'll get to the draw on the betting, but he is right up there. I think he's fav with most firms. Rowanna Mamba did the business in semi-final number 3, a Puppy Cup finalist for Michelle Brown. 23.92, beating Pavilion Team around the outside, 4 over 6. A winner on merit here, good winner.
Yeah, as you say, contested the Puppy Cup over course and distance, clearly suited to track and trip. Do keep an eye on this Pavilion Team. He's been sprinting, but he's been drawn in 6 in heat and semi, but I definitely feel that the draw nearer the inside is going to help him. He wanted the inside going to the turn, and I thought he stayed on really well, did the runner-up Pavilion Team. But again, out in front at Romford, always difficult to pass. Yeah,
nice performance from Rowanna Mamba there, 23.92. Let's get to it then. The draw, 9-11 at Romford on Friday night. There's £10,000 up for grabs. It is the Coral Golden Sprint Final. Fire and Ice, the only railer in Trap 1 for Nathan Hunt, the Puppy Cup champion, 7-2. Pavilion Team middle for Mark Wallace, the NWD partnership, 6-1. Michelle Brown's Rowanna Mamba at 12s. Union Rebel, 5-2. Mad About Peck, 11-4. And doing it for the locals, Whitewood Lenny in the stripes, so Maxine Locke at 8-1. Right, the obvious one to lean towards is Fire and Ice here on the inside, Tony. But this is a race to the bend, isn't it? Well, you know, if one of these brings the old trapping boots in sensational fashion, this would probably be over.
Yeah, it's one of those races you could run numerous times and get a different result. I mean, I think you could have got any price you want. If someone would have said there'll only be one railer in the final, considering the class and talent and the amount of railers there was in his event, it's astonishing that Fire and Ice is the only railer. I'm going to be with him just purely on the draw, Dave. I do think that Pavilion Team would be suited by a draw nearer the inside, but finding a way past Fire and Ice might be a little bit tricky. And I just think that he'll get a run of the race on the inside. I like the way he runs the second bend at Romford Fire and Ice, and I think that's where he can go about his business down the back straight.
I did have loads and loads of stats. You know, Romford being my local track, it was always a competition I'd look forward to, and I had loads of stats and everything. If you like your trends, I can tell you that in recent years, favourites have struggled in the final. Listen, we're struggling to pinpoint who the favourite's actually going to be at the moment. I think it might just about be Mad About Peck, but who knows? And if you go back sort of over the last 10 years, the likes of Clondotti Alex, Goldie's Hoddle, Trap One has got a phenomenal record in the Golden Sprint Final, just because it takes a good one to get to the final. And as we've seen already, you know, I think of the Fire and Ice and Union Rebel race, that inside racing line at the turn is absolutely massive. If you can come away from red, you're going to be very hard to beat, Tony, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's a good railer, the Fire and Ice dog. Some railers, they're not necessarily good railers, if that makes sense. Whereas Fire and Ice, he's bend running off the second bend. He can nick a length out of the second bend alone. So that's advantageous to me, especially in the makeup.
Yeah, he's going to, I'm sure, be popular with plenty of punters. I don't know, maybe Hart is ruling head. I put up Union Rebel at 16-1 at the start of this competition. I do think there is a fast start in this dog, and I keep going back to the fact that, you know, Kevin Hutton, he doesn't often go to Romford, and I feel and I know that he thinks he's going there with the right one this time. So if he can bring the trap in boots, but that applies to all of these. I think if any of these can rocket out the boxes, that will probably be that, because a 23, 60, 70 off the front in a race full of front runners, which it often is in the Golden Sprint, you're going to be home and home. So first dog enter in the back straight's probably going to win. Tony thinks it's going to be Fire and Ice. I think it's going to be Union Rebel. Do let us know who you think is going to be. Drop a comment below, whether you watch us on YouTube or Facebook. Who wins? And maybe you're clutching something at big prices anti-post. Right, it is that time. Best bets of the week. You can go wherever you like. Tony, recording this on a Wednesday morning. Where's the Tony Bullen nap?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Romford. There's a couple of other finals running alongside the Golden Sprint and the Steve Simmons Sprint Final. Unusual for me to nap in a sprint, but Droopy's on her own for Maxine Locke. Opened her account at the 11th time of asking in the heats. It was a gun battle between Droopy's on her own and Tully Murray Dillon. Both got a brilliant exit, but Droopy's on her own had that inside line and just managed to sustain the gallop to stay ahead of Tully Murray Dillon. I think now she's got her head in front, Dave. 13:40 time will suffice. Nip round the bend in front, wave bye-bye to the opposition.
Well, 225 metres is always a shootout to the corner, and Tony's going with Droopy's on her own in the 8:36. You won't have to wait long for mine, because I'm going in the race after the Mercury Marathon Final, the 8:54. Now, cast your mind back to the Cesarewitch Final. Bright Jewel rocketed out, made Garfini Blaze pull out all the stops, and he did so in unbelievable fashion. There is a fast start in Bright Jewel. I thought was very impressive in the heats, coming from off the speed. Doesn't need to lead, but I think might just get first run on the likely favourite Swift Giddy. Kennelmate Tesseract on the inside might go at a bit of a price, but I think Bright Jewel can take it up with a lap to go and just pour it on in the marathon final. So that's the 8:54 at Romford. Tony's is in the 8:36. Big night at Romford. On any given Friday. There you go. It is the big one, the Golden Sprint Decider on Friday night. You'll be able to watch that live on the Premier Greyhound Racing Service. Right, Tony, it has been a pleasure as ever. There's a million open races for you to get stuck into, so we won't keep you. I know you're a very, very busy boy, but it's a great time to be alive. You know, the Golden Sprint is a competition, my local track I love. Things are bubbling up nicely at Central Park. The big race scene, you know, the sport with the closure of Swindon is not great, of course, but the top of the sport, the big races just keep on coming. It's relentless.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what I am noticing, it's a lot of the same dogs meeting one another, but when they're class like that, it's just like watching the top Premier League teams play one another. Maybe they should go for that. What was it when the footballers wanted their separate league? Maybe that could happen in the sport, Dave.
Super League of Greyhound. Let's listen. I can feel the comments coming alive now. We'll leave it there. Listen, thanks for watching as ever. Like, comment and subscribe. Enjoy the Greyhound racing and, of course, gamble responsibly. And we'll see you next week.